Hello everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Po, and today I'm doing the new Releaseathon tag. So this is a tag to go along with the new Releaseathon readathon, which happens all throughout August, and it's just a bunch of questions about new releases. All the information about new Releaseathon itself is linked below, and if you go ahead and do this tag, make sure you use the hashtag new Releaseathon 2022 so that we can find your tag and add it to the playlist of all the great content for new Releaseathon. So let's go ahead and get started. Question 1. What new book release have you been most excited for? So I just did my TBR for August where I talked about so many different new releases that I'm extremely excited about. But in addition to those, I wanted to talk about one of the new releases for the last quarter of this year that I am so looking forward to, and that is Into the Riverlands by Niveau. This is the third book in the Singing Hills Cycle series of novellas. This starts with The Empress of Salt and Fortune and When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain, both of which I have standalone reviews for, so I will link those below. This series has been amazing so far. It's kind of like a series of companion novels, but in all of these we follow the cleric Chi, who is a non-binary cleric that goes around writing down important stories. And I just love the framing of this. I love the writing, the world building, the politics, the kind of mystical magic, everything in this series. I have zero idea what this third book is about, but I know I'm gonna love it because I love Niveau's writing and I have loved every other book in this series. Question 2. What book release were you not that excited for at first, but changed your mind about? For this, I'm going to say The Colony by Audrey McGee. This is a literary historical fiction set in 1979 in a small island Irish town that has some foreigners, a painter and a linguist who come to stay on the island. And there is a lot of interesting dynamics there. So I'd heard about this from quite a few different people. It's one of those buzzy books in the literary fiction circles. And I was, it was interesting, but didn't really grip my attention until I heard Fraser at Fraser Simon Springboard Thought talk about it. And when I heard him talk about it, I thought, oh, actually maybe this is something that I would really enjoy. So basically what he said was that this was like a really quiet and reflective novel that talked about a lot of issues of colonialism and that had great immersive writing, narrative voice, and those all sounded like things that actually I would really enjoy. I don't read tons of literary fiction, and so I'm never really quite sure what's going to work for me or what isn't, but hearing Fraser talk about it, I think that this book would probably work for me. Question 3. How many new releases have you read so far this year? So far this year, I have read 18 new releases, which is okay. I definitely have not quite kept up with all of my anticipated releases, but I'm really hoping that during new Releaseathon, I will be able to make a big dent in all of the books that I want to get to. If I could get to another 18 books that are new releases in August, I would be so happy. Not positive that's doable, but I read around 15 to 20 books each month, so it's at least possible. Question 4. How do you usually find out about new book releases? So I use a couple of different methods to find out about new book releases. One of the best methods is actually just BookTube. I love seeing people talk about anticipated releases, or there's a lot of booktubers who read ARCs, advanced reader copies. So just hearing them talk about what they're excited about or what books they've read that are coming out soon that sound really good, those definitely heavily influence my TBR. I also, especially this year, have been making an effort to make my own anticipated releases videos, and so I've been looking into like where to find out about that. One of the resources that is actually really useful, even though I don't read ARCs, is NetGalley. So NetGalley is a place where you can request advanced reader copies, and I don't do that because I don't like to have that kind of obligation to read. I just read whatever I want to read, and that makes me very happy, but I can go through and see what are some of the upcoming releases that have ARCs. And so I get a lot of ideas, and they have it separated by kind of genre category. And so I can find stuff like middle grade or romance or whatever it is that I'm interested in looking at. Another great resource is Locus Magazine has a forthcoming books section where they talk about, they just list really upcoming SFF releases. And since SFF is one of those genres that I really try to pay attention to what's coming out, that's very helpful. And then beyond that, I also am looking at some specific publishers that I really like. For example, Levine Querido, I really like what they're doing, so I always go and see what are they going to be publishing in the next few months, that sort of thing. And I'm subscribed to a couple of newsletters from some of my favorite authors because if they publish anything, I want to know about it and pick it up. Question 5. Is there a genre that's most represented in your anticipated book releases? I try to read slightly widely, but definitely I think that my anticipated releases, as well as what I read, are pretty heavily skewed towards SFF. I love science fiction and fantasy, and also I am particularly trying to pay attention to new releases in that genre because I like to nominate and vote in the Hugo Awards. And so if I want to nominate especially, I need to be reading what's coming out that's new. So I do try to put a little bit of extra emphasis on SFF, even though I like to read across a lot of different genres. Question 6. Are there buzzwords that will get you instantly hyped for a new release? There are a bunch of things that get me excited about a book. I think one of the things that really makes me interested in picking up a book is when I hear people talking about interesting themes. So especially if there are themes of social justice or feminism, or if it's dealing with issues of identity or grief, those are things that I'm almost always interested in. I also really like when I hear that the writing is atmospheric or is slow paced or is reflective. Those sorts of things definitely work for me. I also just like it when people say that there's really interesting magic or mythology or world building. I love that. And then for specific genres, I have some kind of buzzy keywords. So for romance, I really love cinnamon roll heroes. And I also really like the fake dating or marriage of convenience trope. Those work a lot for me. And for things like historical fiction, I'm always interested if there is a time period or a setting that is not something I read very many books about, because I'm always interested in that history of whatever time and place it's set in. That always interests me. Okay, so those are all of my answers to the new Releaseathon tag. I'm gonna tag one person to do this, which is Fraser at Fraser Simons, Springboard Thought, since he definitely influenced one of my answers for this. So Fraser, if you're interested, I would love to hear your answers for this. Also, if you're watching this and you're interested in doing this tag, please do it. I would love to see your answers. Just let me know in the comments below that you have a video. I would love to check it out. Or if you don't wanna make a video, but you just wanna tell me some of your answers, go ahead and leave me a comment down below. I would really love to hear yours.